Good morning. After all this time, Matt has carefully trained me on microphone. I'm Barb Hefner, a member of your parish committee. We're happy that you're here today with us in this beautifully decorated sanctuary, and we're also happy to have folks online at home or wherever they may be. A warm welcome to visitors. We hope that this will be the first of many visits that you'll make to First Parish in Wayland. After the service, we hope that you'll join us downstairs in the vestry. So if you just follow the flow of traffic out of the back of the sanctuary and follow the smell of coffee, you will find the vestry. Our mission is to build community, to search for meaning, to deepen our spirituality, and to make a better world. If you have questions about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism, you can chat with the folks at the welcome table downstairs in the vestry after the service, or you can chat with Reverend Deborah or Kate Holland, who's our Director of Lifespan Education. A big thanks to all of the other service participants. Their names are listed in the order of service. Also, please remember to silence your cell phone. Please join me now in taking a moment to say hello to your friends there in the pews, and also we're going to wave at the camera there at the top of the choir loft. This camera's missing. Two quick reminders. The holiday sale continues downstairs with 6 nonprofits from around the world. And also the carol sing today will be inside. We'll be singing in the sanctuary at 4:30. There'll be cocoa and cookies afterwards down in the vestry. And now the Giudici family will light the chalice.
With open minds and loving hearts, we gather to search for meaning, to care for one another, and to work together for a better world. Good job.
And now let us turn our hearts and minds to worship.
Out in this congregation, but can we do like a, I don't know, something? That was so beautiful. Thank you so, so much. I feel like I would love to like just have that surrounding me in the morning. I feel very loud. Indoor voice. My kids are always saying, don't use your preacher voice with us. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you all. It's a delight to be with you this morning. As I say every time I am with you, it's just a delight that we come together to worship together, that we take this time to just be with each other, to pause from our lives, to maybe explore some things in our lives, the mystery of life, to adjust our microphones. Anyway, it's good to see you with you. My name is Reverend Deborah Bennett. If this is starting to not work, I can switch over to this mic too, Jada, if that's better. We think we're okay? Okay, I just feel like I'm making sense. I am making sense. This morning begins our month-long exploration. I'm going to take this off now. How about we use this one? I'm going to try this one. Yay! This morning we begin our month-long exploration of mystery. It is one of my favorite topics, to be sure. And in case you didn't notice, we always, every month when we do our themes, there is always a little packet at the back of the sanctuary, and we also publish it in the e-blast. And there's all kinds of great things in here related to the theme, including song, a playlist for your iPod, your CD player, your 8-track, whatever you use. Okay, we're off to a good start this morning. Yeah. Some say that living in mystery is about this deep trust, that there is something at work in our lives even when we can't see it. And indeed, we are entering into a time of year that I think is one of the most mysterious, that though the external signs of life are beginning to recede, there's much that continues in the darkness. This is the time when the great days grow shorter and colder, animals go in and hibernate, and many plants, they seem to pull themselves into their roots. And many of us people, well, we just want a nice, good cup of coffee or tea and a warm blanket and a book and a fireplace, don't we? Mm-hmm. Indeed, it's a month that's a perfect time to explore this idea of mystery. Now, this morning also marks the beginning of the season of Advent in the Christian tradition. It's a time of anticipation of the coming rebirth, a sort of reawakening. It is symbolized with light, as even a small amount of light can dispel the darkness. Advent, as you probably know, is marked over the course of this 4 Sundays before Christmas by lighting candles on an Advent wreath. There are purple candles and one is pink, and they symbolize hope, love, peace, and joy. Of course, Christianity is not alone in utilizing this imagery of light. This time of year, we have Hanukkah, solstice, Kwanzaa. They all also involve candles and light and fire, and we're going to acknowledge those throughout the month as well. So by the end of the month, we'll have lots of fire going on up here. As Unitarian Universalists who honor these traditions, we have also chosen to decorate our sanctuary beautifully, and thank you for those that did that. If you want to look around and see our pretty lights in the window. And this morning, we are going to go ahead and light our Advent wreath. So I'm going to ask Kathy Schmidt. The Advent wreath has already been lit. It was a miracle? Well, may the power of hope carry us through the darker days of our lives as we light our candles this morning. Thank you, Kathy and Kate. I think it's time for singing. What do you think? I see Charlie coming up here. This morning is a morning of rounds, so forgive us for that, but we're going to ask you to round it up. And Kate, I see that you moved into the second section for this morning.
Good morning. So it's a round, and this one we're going to do is a conventional round. There's going to be more different fun later. So in the conventional round, from the partition to the window is chorus 1. From the partition to the aisle is chorus 2. From the aisle, the partition is chorus 3, and from the partition to the window is chorus 4. It is number 389, and we're going to have Polly play it through us for us once, and then we're all going to sing it through once together, and then we'll take turns coming in. And if you hear some mysterious percussion, it's because it's a special morning, all right? So will you rise to join me in this? Polly? Can you?
Thank you, Charlie. We're on, right? Oh, there we go. Just checking. So good morning. Thank you, Charlie. I am getting better at rounds, even though I have I'm a remedial learner on that. I'm Kate Holland, and I'm the director of Lifespan Education here at First Parish, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So this morning, not surprisingly, I have a story to share with you, and my story is about a little girl named Eva. And Eva and her mom were taking a walk in the woods one day, and Eva loved to look up and see the moon.
It would be through the trees that she could catch a glimpse. Sometimes a cloud would go over it, and it seemed to show up in a different place all the time. As they were walking and they came to a clearing, Ava said, Mom, look, it's the moon. Mom looked at her and she said, I wonder, what do you think makes the moon follow us? Eva stopped, and she thought, and she thought. And her mom looked at her and she said, you know, it's okay to say, I don't know. And it's good when we don't know something because it gives us the opportunity to wonder about it. And Eva looked at her mom and she said, Mom, what makes the moon stay so close to us? And her mom said, well, there's gravity, and gravity pulls things towards us. So the moon is pulled towards us, and the planets stay in place because there is gravity keeping them around the sun. Eva said, I wonder where gravity came from. Her mom said, well, there are people who have ideas about that that they call theories. And she said, you know, it's kind of when we don't know something, and we all don't know something, it's a mystery. And it gives us the opportunity to all wonder about it together. Ava thought for a minute and tried to think of everybody wondering about how gravity got to be together. Oh, that was a big thought. So as they're walking along, they come to a sandy beach by a lake. And Eva looks down and she goes, Mom, how many grains of sand are there in the whole world? Her mom says, wow. She said, it must be trillions and trillions, but I don't think anybody knows how many grains of sand there are on the planet. But it's another mystery for us to wonder about together. And that's kind of nice. So as they walked even further, there were butterflies coming into the forest, and she saw them flying around, and all of a sudden there were a bunch of butterflies. And Eva said, Mama, where did the butterflies come from? And she said, well, butterflies come from little worms that changed into butterflies. And they start as eggs, and the eggs move from little worms and turn into butterflies. There's all kinds of cycles all around us where things are changing. Things change all the time. Can you think of some things that change? Anybody here have some ideas of things that might change? Kids change. That's a good one. Anybody else got something that they know changes? Go ahead, look. Dogs change? They do. They get bigger, don't they? Anybody else have some ideas? What? Leaves change. Absolutely. So she was like, those are great things to kind of wonder about and know. So finally, she looked and she said, Mama, she said, what was here before all of the things were here? Before the trees and before us and before the butterflies and before the sky? What was here then? Your mother said, I don't know. It's a mystery where we get to all think about it together. And she thought again about, oh my gosh, thinking of all the people everywhere, thinking on a mystery all together. And she looked at her mom and she said, woo, that makes my head feel dizzy to think of everyone all together. It's too big even for my imagination. And she said, well, you know, that's a good thing to kind of have some time just to wonder and to enjoy the mysteries around us. So I love mystery. I love this topic. And I think of, for me, that wondering of mystery, I remember being a little girl, and even now as a big, giant person, I remember going to magic shows. And who's ever seen a magician? And so it is not an unknown quantity of what magicians do. You can look up on YouTube and see. But you know, I won't, because there's that wonder of something happening out of nowhere where it's just, I don't want to know how the rabbit comes out of the hat. I don't want to know how the lady gets sawed in half. I just want to wonder and enjoy the mystery of it. So this month, we are all invited to come together and wonder and enjoy the mystery. So I'm going to ask my friends that are off to seek to come on down with me. Let's go down the back. And I'm going to ask all of you to please sing us out.
Well, Kate kind of just did my whole sermon, so. But we'll do it again later. But for right now, it is no mystery why we come to this place, correct? We come here because we love what exists here. We love this community. We love the explorations we do. This church is a living entity, and like all living things, it needs to be nurtured to be sustained. So this morning, as we take our contributions, I invite you to consider how you would like to help sustain this community. And I know you all do that already in so many ways. So if you would like to make a contribution this morning, please do so. There's also those pew cards if you'd like to do it online. If you are a first-time visitor to us, please let that plate pass because you are our guest. And thank you all for the very many financial and non-financial ways that you nurture and sustain this community. Let's enjoy our music.
I'm Kathy Schmidt, a lay minister here at First Parish. My pronouns are she and her. This is a time in our service we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold in our hearts. In both our sharing and in our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. Each Sunday, we light a vigil candle in recognition of the pain and suffering being experienced around the world due to ongoing war and violence. May this small act help us unite in our prayer for the end to all suffering. Those they have named, and those we hold in silence. May it be so.
In a mother's womb were two babies. One asked the other, "Do you
Do you believe in life after delivery?
Well, of course, there has to be something after delivery. Maybe we're here to prepare ourselves for what will be later.
Nonsense. There is no life after delivery. What kind of life would that possibly be?
Well, I don't know, but there'll be more light than here. Maybe we'll walk with our legs and eat from our mouths. Maybe we'll have other senses that we can't understand now.
That's absurd. Walking is impossible, and eating with our mouths? Ridiculous. The umbilical cord supplies nutrition and everything we need. But the umbilical cord is so short. Life after delivery is to be logically excluded. Roommate.
Well, I think there is something, and maybe it's different than it is here. Maybe we won't need this physical cord anymore.
Nonsense. And moreover, if there is life, then why has no one ever come back from there? Delivery is the end of life, and in the after delivery, there is nothing but darkness and silence and oblivion. It takes us nowhere.
Well, I don't know, but certainly we'll meet Mother, and she'll take care of us.
Mother? You actually believe in Mother? That is laughable. If Mother exists, where is she?
Well, she's all around us. We're surrounded by her. We are of her, and it is in her that we live. Without her, this world would not and could not exist.
Well, I don't see her, so it's only logical that she doesn't exist.
To which the second replied, sometimes when you're in silence and you focus and listen, you can perceive her presence and you can hear her loving voice calling down from above.
I'm going to invite us now into a time of silence. The time to listen, perceive. If you like closing your eyes for these kinds of things, I invite you to do that. If you like your eyes open, I'll invite you to have your eyes glancing down so that you can pull your focus more inward. I'm going to give us more time this morning than we sometimes take to just be in silence. To consider the words we've just heard and to ask ourselves, what is it that we sense or feel that is all around us? Often we do want to put a name to it, but this morning I'm going to invite you to sit in silence and just feel. You are on a planet floating through space. Take a moment to feel what is all around you. You are on a planet suspended in space. Suspended in time. What is all around you? You are sitting on a planet, hovering in space. Who are you? And what is around you? Allowing yourself to maintain a sense of wonder as you take a deep breath in. I invite you to open your eyes and let's explore mystery together. Indeed, we do live surrounded by mystery. Everywhere we turn, there's so many things that we simply do not know or are hard to explain or are beyond our current understanding. Who are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What is love? How exactly does a smartphone work? Do cats really think they are God? Do our plants talk about us when we're not in the room? Why hasn't anybody evolved to be able to recognize, my body evolved to be able to recognize that chocolate cake is a vital nutrient? These are my questions. I'm sure you have your own list of mysteries to ponder in your life. That we are surrounded by mystery, I think, is not in question. But how we respond to mystery, now that I think makes all the difference in our life, and that's what I want to explore this morning. How do you respond when you encounter mystery? As I've watched myself and others move through life, there seems to be at least 3 different ways that we humans respond to mystery that we encounter. And I'm going to name them. I'm going to call them the ostrich, the Christie, and the sit there method. See if you relate to any of them. The first method I notice we employ at times when we approach mystery is that famous ostrich response. We simply stick our heads in the sand and do our best to just ignore the mystery, right? There's too much to do to spend time thinking about pesky little questions in life like the origin of the universe or why we may feel especially connected to somebody. Now, to be fair, I did a little fact checking here, and it turns out that ostriches don't actually stick their heads in the sand when they're afraid. Did you know that? Yeah, they got that reputation because they stick their heads in the sand when they're checking out their eggs in the nest. So perhaps instead we should call this the nothing to see here response, right? Don't ask too many questions that you can't answer. Establish a good routine in life and just keep looking straight ahead. Blinders are very helpful for the ostrich response, as is binge watching British baking shows. Modern consumer life is perfectly designed for the ostrich response, right? The busier we are, the less time we have for silly questions about mystery. And if you commit to the ostrich response to mystery, it is very vital that you follow these guidelines. Number 1, avoid laying out in the grass at night and gazing up at the open sky. Number 2, no standing by the vast ocean reading poetry. And number 3, whatever you do, don't you dare look deeply into a newborn's eyes. For all of these will surely cause you to ponder mystery. Okay, but we do not always employ the ostrich method, right? Many of us are very good at the second option. I call this the Christie response. That's Agatha, not Chris, by the way. The Christie response to mystery is when we see mystery as this delicious puzzle we get to solve. It's watching that magic trick that Kate described, but then trying to figure it out. It's seeing life as a mystery novel whose plot will be revealed if we just keep reading, so we stay up all night and we read and we read. When we're in this mode, we approach mystery with determination and we delight in our discoveries. I remember the first time I solved a mystery. Well, it was a mystery to me. Are we hearing me okay? Sorry, that one felt like it was a little clicky, so I took it off. Because I don't want you to miss my mystery I solved. Can we hear me now? In the back? Yeah. All right. So here's my mystery. I was really young, probably about 5 or 6, and I was listening to music on the car radio as my mother drove. And I remember becoming so curious about how one song would play, and then immediately after, an entirely different band would play another song, and then another band would play after that. And I remember pondering this mystery. How did they have so many different bands play on the same radio station, I wondered. Now, remember, the definition of mystery is something that is difficult to explain. Something can be a mystery for one person and not another. Anyway, one day I figured it out. I was so proud of myself. I know, I thought with glee, I know how they must do it. Surely they have 2 stages at the radio station. And while one band is playing a song, the other band is setting up on the other stage. Aha, mystery solved. I was so happy with myself. Of course, like many mysteries, I would come to discover that I was a little bit wrong. Having multiple stages is not, in fact, how a radio station works, in case you didn't know. But nonetheless, the radio had been this mystery to me, and I delighted in thinking that I had found the answer. I had figured it out. Now, I realize this is not exactly an equivalent comparison to other mysteries, like, say, gravity, right? Sir Isaac Newton's discovery of gravity. But to be fair, even solving that mystery wasn't complete, right? Because 250 years later, Einstein made his own discoveries about the mystery of light and mass and energy, and I'm not a physicist, so I don't even know. But my understanding is that that kind of expanded our understanding of gravity. Or at least the people that study these things, gravity. The rest of us were like, the apple still fell down, right? But unlike my radio discovery, Newton wasn't wrong. It was just a little incomplete. But whether it's our own little childhood discoveries or solving a whodunit or being part of an actual scientific breakthrough, exploring mystery when approached with a desire to learn and understand is exhilarating, isn't it? Of course, the warning label for the Christie method is clear. Be careful about assuming your answers are complete or correct. Fact check often and keep exploring. But then there's that one more possibility for how we can approach mystery. And for this, I turn to our own faith and then to the wisdom of Carl Sagan and our beloved Sufi mystic Rumi for what I call the don't just do something, sit there method. Currently, UUism declares that it has 6 sources of wisdom, and the first reads like this. It says, we affirm and promote direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces which create and uplift life. In the proposed new Article 2 statement of UU Inspirations, they changed it just slightly, and it reads, direct experiences of transcending mystery and wonder are primary sources of Unitarian Universalist inspiration. These experiences open our hearts, renew our spirits, and transform our lives. Now, both are beautiful statements, but what are they really inviting us to do? How do we relate to mystery and wonder in a way that actually does give us a renewal of spirit and does open our hearts and even transforms our lives? Surely, I think it's not by putting our heads in the sand every time we mention mystery. Nor do I think it's by only speaking about how we can get out there and change the world. Nor do I think it's about working to understand all the little ways and all the physics of life. I think to really live into the idea of transcending mystery and wonder, we need to have a different response to mystery. One that I notice isn't overly popular in our UU congregations, or at least one we don't take time to practice often. Now, I remember being excited when I decided to go to seminary. That's the fancy word for grad school for ministers. I had dreams of deepening my spiritual practices, of having time to take a deep dive into the many sources of wisdom, and to have many hours to ponder the universe and connect with that transcending mystery and wonder of the world. How our dreams clash with reality, don't they? In my first semester, I eagerly registered for a class on interfaith mysticism. It was to be a look at what was described as the great mystics of the world across religion, and I was so excited. And I became a little disheartened, though, when I received the textbook list for the course. The main text was this 1,000-page behemoth of a book. It must have weighed 10 pounds. And as the course got underway, it became clear that this was not a deep dive into experiential mysticism, but a course where we were to compare and contrast and write about what others had written about what others had written about mystical experiences. Do you see the disconnect at all in that? I think my professor didn't clearly understand mysticism. I got through the course and never looked at that big old textbook again. And sadly, it wasn't my only experience like that in seminary. Over and over again, we were asked to read and write and dissect and think about, but very rarely were we asked to sit and be and deepen. And I remember well the day after my final coursework was complete, after all the reading and writing and dissecting, and I finally had time to take a nice long hike in the woods. It felt like it had been the first time in 3 years. And I was no more than 100 yards into that woods, and I just started to cry. Something surrounded me. It was like, no, it really was. It was a long-lost friend who wrapped their arms around me. And I took a deep breath, and it was like they were saying, "Welcome back, my friend." And I looked around, and the light was coming through the trees, and the warmth of the sun was touching my face, and the breath of the air was breathing me back to life. And I could feel this force of gravity holding me tight to the ground, just as I also felt another force that was lifting me up and out. I was back home, connected to, surrounded by, feeling myself a part of spirit, a part of mystery. Now, I'm not saying that book learning is bad, and on the contrary, I really honor education. And I knew that seminary would be a lot of reading and writing and dissecting. It's not that what we did was a problem per se. It's what we didn't do that was the problem. I had gone to seminary to commune with the great mystery, but instead I came out knowing more things, but still longing for connection. I relate to these words of Carl Sagan, who says, "Every kid starts out as a natural-born scientist, and then we beat it out of them. A few trickle through the system with their wonder and enthusiasm for science still intact." And I think the same could be said of seminary, and the same could be said of modern life. Few of us trickle through with our wonder and enthusiasm for mystery still intact. It is a worthy endeavor to simply be in the presence of mystery without having to figure it out and without having to look the other way, but to be overtaken by those feelings of wonder and awe. One of my favorite Rumi poems is called Love Dogs. It goes like this. One night a man was calling, Allah, Allah. His lips grew sweet with the praising until a cynic said, so, have you heard? I have heard you calling out, but have you ever gotten a response? And the man had no answer for that, and he quit praying and fell into a confused sleep. And he dreamed he saw Kadir, the guide of souls, in a thick green foliage. Why did you stop praising? He asked. Because I never heard anything back, he replied. This longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you towards union. Your pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is the connection. There are love dogs no one knows the names of. Give your life to be one of them. As I walked through the woods that day, I was reminded it's the longing for that connection that is the connection. It is the openness to see and touch and be in mystery that is the mystery we seek. Sometimes mystery is just left to be alone. From Carl Sagan again. He says, even our feeblest contemplations of the cosmos can stir us. There is a tingling in the spine, a catch in the voice, a faint sensation, as if a distant memory or falling from a height. We know we are approaching the greatest of mysteries. And though worlds and centuries apart, I have this feeling that Rumi and Carl Sagan, if invited to dinner together, would have some real resonance with each other. Both knew that we must have an openness to the forces which create and uphold life, and that if we do not get this little tingling in the spine when we contemplate it, we should pause and contemplate some more. I like to think that when Moses encountered that burning bush up on the mountain, that he was not walking around it trying to figure out the magic trick that made it happen. And nor do I think he put his head in the sand to pretend that he saw nothing. Instead, I like to think that Moses just sat there, feeling himself one with that flame. One of America's leading cell biologists, Ursula Goodenough, writes in her book, The Sacred Depths of Nature. She says, the realization that I needn't have answers to the big questions has served as an epiphany for me. I lie on my back under the stars and the unseen galaxies, and I let their enormity just wash over me. I assimilate the vastness of the distances, the impermanence, the fact of it all. I go all the way out and then I go all the way down to the fact of photons without mass and gauge bosons that become massless at high temperatures. I take in the abstractions about forces and symmetries, and I let it just haunt me. I believe the greatest gift of our modern world is access to information. No longer is information locked away in secret vaults for only a certain class of men to see. But I also believe that the greatest tragedy of the modern world is the access to so much information. And not that information is wrong, it's just maybe that what I really mean to say is that the greatest tragedy of the modern world is when we demand information. And when that demand for information overshadows the beautiful gift of mystery, because I think that is when we lose a part of ourselves. And it's such a beautiful part. There are mysteries to be solved, and I'm glad I figured out how a radio works. And there are mysteries to live. The birthing baby will soon discover what lies on the other side of delivery, as sure as one day we will all discover what lies on the other side of death. But too, I think that there are mysteries that are best served by just letting them be, by just enjoying their presence all around us, by whatever name we call them. And I hope you will join me in living a mysterious life here together at First Parish as we move forward and give space truly for all expressions. We think, we discuss, we wrestle with, and that's good. And let us also make sure we take time to just sit. And as Emily and Matthew are going to sing to us now, that we just let the mystery be.
We're all warmed up for sure.
Everybody is wondering what and where we all came from. Everybody is worried about where we're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of the Savior if in sinful ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't a fact. But I've heard I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly. But I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where we've all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be.
Thank you, Emily and Matthew. Thank you all for joining me in this mysterious morning together. Let's extinguish our chalice, and then you're going to get the chance to sing one more time, I Know You Want To. We're going to extinguish this chalice. The words are in the order of service if you'd like to join me with them. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. We have one last song, and it is a round.
This is not exactly as a round. We're going to break into our normal 4 sections. And section 1 is going to have responsibility for the top line, section 2 the second line, section 3 the third line, section 4 the fourth line. So each of us in turn will rehearse our little things. Then we'll all start singing. I shouldn't say we all start. Section 1 will start singing for twice through, and then section 2 will join in with their part, and then section 3, and then section 4. This is in the green manual, 1003.
Do we turn around?
So after everyone, excellent question. After everyone gets rolling and all 4 parts are singing, we leaders will walk to the back, and that's when you will know it's time to turn around and face the back of the hall. And then I can give you the microphone then. Oh, you're all set. You're all set. All right, shall we begin? Polly, could we have an F, please?
Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Now we are done. We sing, where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Isosceles is equal length.
I feel like this is a choir audition. Is that what's happening right now? Yeah.
Having equal angles, is that isosceles?
Yes.
And how do you spell that? S-O-E?
But isosceles triangle. Is it triangle or just equal angles?
Just equal angles.
That could be a more general term. Polygon.
Mystery, mystery. This is some closing words from Kent Nurburn. When all the words have been written and all the phrases have been spoken, the great mystery will still remain. We may map the terrains of our lives, measure the furthest reaches of the universe, but no amount of searching will ever reveal for certain whether we are all children of chance or part of a great design. And who among us would have it otherwise? Who would wish to take the mystery out of the experience of looking into a newborn's eyes? Thank you for joining us this morning. It's a pleasure to be with you. Please go forth and play in the mystery of your lives. They are all so short, are they not? Peace be with you.